handlebars that fire off. That looks awesome. And the guy, Hal Needham, he's like, yeah, this is really cool. I'm like, wow. And then we watched this movie, this documentary earlier this year called In Search of Tomorrow. And in the 82 chapter, here's Barry Bostwick, ancient, wrinkled, tanned, and he's talking about MegaForce. MegaForce is the best movie ever made. It's all about deeds, not words. And I'm like, oh my god, this guy sounds like there's a real good movie there. That's a great movie. Janet, you want to take over?
Well, I have never seen this before till today, and I went and looked at a few pictures trying to get an idea of what I should, dress up like. And I didn't have an officer uniform or anything like that. I
Did
don't
you
have a
have
red
like
shirt.
did you have a onesie that just zips up with like no
Yes,
underwear
but
underneath?
she didn't wear a onesie like that. Now this is a onesie, but it's a flight suit, a military flight suit.
Yeah, I know.
So I wore it, but that's the only thing I had, and I put a couple little, little thing
Little flight
pins on
rings
it.
on there. Yeah.
But the thing is that I couldn't take notes fast enough, honestly, because it was so filled with so much bad stuff. It was so bad. Uh, but honestly, I would boil it down to if I had to pick one thing that was wrong with it is that it didn't have a script. It just was like thrown together on a daily basis, is what it seemed like to me. And what I felt really bad for is that it seemed like the people that did the pyrotechnics, the people that did sets, even the people that worked with costumes, hair, makeup, and all that, for the people that were injured or whatever else, they did a lot of work. I mean, you could tell that they tried to have an semblance of a script, a story to tell, yet it was a jumbled mess. And then there was scenes where uh, it seemed like they did it simply for the fact they didn't have a set, or they didn't have time to build it, or they didn't have the money. So they just put up that projection, a colored projection, and had them walk behind it and talk, and then put a couple props in there to make it look like they were, to make a scene, like they would do sometimes on a play, during a big theatrical play, while they're moving the scene, the stuff in the background. They would have the projection up on there. I've seen that, on Broadway and stuff. But that's what it seemed like. It just seemed like they didn't know what to do. They did the best they could with what little they had. And I was thinking, when you and I had that discussion before about a few movies that got ripped off, because they were already $60 million in debt. Not this one, but one of the other ones we talked about.
You're talking about
Cutthroat Island.
Cutthroat Island.
Before they even started filming, they were already $60 million in debt, because the producers were just didn't give a shit. They had the money and they said, hell, I don't give a shit if the movie ever works out. Fuck them, So they just got blowing hookers and whatever they wanted to do, and just had parties, And that's what it seems like. It seems like wherever the money was supposed to go, it wasn't going to certain aspects of the movie, and that some people really didn't care that this ever achieved anything. And it's sad because I don't know, some of the people really seem like they tried to portray whatever it was they were told they were supposed to be. But I don't know. I feel bad for some of the people in the movie. And I really do feel bad for the people that work behind the scenes trying to portray something to come across on the camera, because they were trying to fulfill their jobs. And I hope it didn't keep them from getting more work, you know what I mean, afterward. So I really, that part of it, I really felt bad for, but it was bad. And it was so funny because when we were having the discussion before we went live, when I said the costumes were horrid. These were horrible costumes. It looked like some of them were dressed to be in a bad porn. So they can just go, zip, let's go, totally naked underneath it, whatever. That's what it looked like to me. And then I find out Mattel is the one that made all the costumes for the soldiers and stuff. And I said, well, yeah, they made Barbie clothes, something easy for a kid to put on and off on their doll. to make them look like a soldier or a nurse or whatever, and they just zip up one zip and it's done. Definitely could tell. It was just bad and cheap. They did it cheap and as little as possible. I mean, look, they had one little strap around their waist with a weapon, a laser gun or whatever it was. It was just, and then they had all the detail was on the helmet with the little hose that would come off, and then they had the little chest plate with the little lights or whatever on there.
Bright sensors. You don't.
Yeah, it was just so cheap. It was really sad because they didn't get the money they needed. There was being spent somewhere, but it wasn't being spent to make this movie, good, to fill the audience with like, wow, that was great, and clap at the end or anything. It was just a jumbled mess. At least that's how I saw it. I mean, the explosions were cool. The motorcycles were cool for a kid, but they looked like a bunch of motorcycles with poster cardboard cutouts that were spray painted and pieces glued to it, things like that. That's how bad it was. Honestly, the movie, what was the name of the one? The Gamers Darkness Rising. Mm-hmm. Okay. They had no budget. These were people that just did it with stuff in their homes, whatever they could gather on the side of the road or whatever. And it looked like they had more money to spend on some of the props and stuff on their movie than this movie did. And or they took more time and effort to actually make the stuff than some of the people did on the mass production on some of the stuff that they did for that MegaForce, because it was it just didn't seem like it had love behind it. You know what I mean? It didn't look like the people were all together jointly saying, we're going to make this and it's going to be kick-ass, and they're all like, happy to be working there. It just seemed like this group was here, this group was there, and they had all their different groups and they did their thing and they go, here you go. And that's what it seemed like. And that's what happens when you don't have everyone as a team to make a movie. And it's sad for me because I hate to see it when it turns out that way. Even a movie that like Darkness Rising, where they have no money and they're just wanting to make this film because it means something to them, you can feel the effort, the love, and the connection between all the different areas of the film, sound, makeup, wardrobe, sets, all the people coming together to make it work and to make it fun and enjoyable for the viewer. I didn't feel that in this movie.
No.
So I'm not trying to bash it, but this was one of the worst put together box office movies, that actually went to the big screen. It was just a shambles. I mean, it just had so much potential, yet zero effort. That's what
I mean. If you ever wanted to see a movie with like 30 guys on motorcycles running across the desert with multicolored smoke coming out behind them, if you wanted to see guys in slow motion popping wheelies, if you wanted like the most boring courtship between a man and woman discussing like life between the two of them, and the woman not being she's nonplussed by all of his achievements. I am a warrior too. Persia's Kambata is in this movie, and
she's beautiful.
She's one of the most beautiful women that was ever on celluloid, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. She's really just a pretty girl. If you ever saw Star Trek motion picture, she's a shaved head girl that Decker's kid falls in love with, and eventually sacrifices himself to try to be with her and stop V'ger from destroying everything. Mm-hmm. But she is so bland in this movie.
Well, she can't help but be. There's no story. There's nothing for her to do. She's just told that you're an officer and you are gonna fall in love with this guy because he's a hero and all this stuff. And she gets on there and she's like, what the fuck? She doesn't have anything to work with. So basically she's like acting in the mirror, basically, to nothing. And it's a lot harder to do that. Just like a lot of people don't realize how much work it takes to have a blue screen in front of you right? And you know behind you is a green screen. They're going to add this and that, whatever. And you have to act like there's stuff there and react to them and talk to them and not hear dialogue or anything because none of it's been put in yet. Sometimes they'll have someone speaking to you or whatever, but it's still not a reaction. You just have to react to something that's not there. And it's hard to do that, to be believable when there is nothing. It's a void. She's in like a black hole and she's supposed to act. So
Yeah,
the scenes that she was in with her commanding officer, they were pretty good because she was actually having something to bounce off of.
yes.
No. Okay. So you can see the difference in the quality from when she steps in a scene with him and then steps out and goes in with the other players. And it's like, it's a void, it's like an emptiness or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice about it, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be.
I mean, I'm going to just share a couple screens here.
Okay.
Whenever you search on Microsoft, you get this right here. That picture never happens in the movie.
Mm-mm.
And I'm a little upset. And then you do have this in the movie.
That's in the trailer. So it makes you think it's going to be
a major part of the
something,
film. 3.7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
They're being generous. Mine will be lower.
Well, I was going to give it around a 4 myself out of 10. So it's like, oh, I think that's fair.
This is a movie you have on the background. You don't pay attention to it. If you look at it too long, you're just going to be upset. It's directed by this guy right here, Hal Needham.
Mm-hmm.
He directed The Cannonball Run. He did Stroker Ace. He was in Smoking the Bandit, did stunts for that. No, excuse me. He was in stunts for Cannonball Run 1 and 2. And then he was also in Stroker Ace. And he was in a bunch of Hopper or Hooper.
So he did a bunch of movies with Bruce, with Burt Reynolds.
They were together. They were a pair.
Mm-hmm.
Badass stuntman. Really badass stuntman. Was in French Connection 2 as a stunt coordinator. Was Longest Yard 3 the Hard Way. Blazing Saddles. He did stunts for one of the greatest movies of all time.
So he's a stuntman?
Yeah. Hal Needham was a stuntman. This is his first directing he ever did. And this is
well, you can tell. I hate to say that, but yeah, you can tell that there was no. He seems like he didn't take direction from anyone. He didn't ask anyone for help. He didn't listen if they did tell him things. It seems like he just went off blind, half cocked. Just, I don't know. And that's what's sad is that you have a lot of people that step behind the director's chair, to film something just because they've been an actor and they think, oh, I can direct a movie. It's so easy. It isn't easy. You are directing all of the people. You're directing every single thing that's going to happen to make a movie, to put it together. Sound. You're gonna the people who put the music in there, the people that do the script writing, the people who do the script supervisor, that makes sure that the continuity is there. All that stuff is all under the director. So the director has a lot of chairs. I mean, there's chairs in every single part of the movie. And just because you've been a director or you've worked behind the camera does not mean that you can be a director of a movie. And this is proof right here. It was utter chaos. The whole movie was chaos. And even the editor or anyone else, you can't put together a bunch of snippets of film and make a movie when there's no direction in it. You know what I mean? It's like there wasn't a director. No. It was like there wasn't a script, just like I said, it looked like they'd taken the daily little script that they pass out to people for scenes. Who's going to be in what scene. They have one big sheet. It has all the actors that's going to be in the scenes that day, their phone numbers, where they're going to be, so that the people that's going to pick them up from wherever to take them to this part or that place or whatever, because you're going to be filming in different areas, not all in one scene, in one day. You just film wherever the location is available for the day, and second crew might go there and first crew might go there. It just depends.
I'm in error.
They were nuts.
Hal Needleman, he broke. This is on his IMDb. 56 bones. His back was broke twice. Punctured a lung. Knocked out a couple teeth. His careers included work on 4,500 television episodes, 310 feature films as stunt coordinator, second unit director, and ultimately director. Now, he wrote and directed some of the most financially successful action comedy films, with his directorial debut with box office smash Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, so this wasn't his first movie.
This was not his first one. My bad. And I screwed that up. I apologize. He directed Hooper and Cannibal Run, but he also was the first director to show the outtakes during the ending credits. He wrecked hundreds of cars, fell from tall buildings, got blown up, dragged by horses. He set a world record for a boat stunt on Gator and jumped a rocket-powered pickup truck across the canal for a GM commercial, and was the first human being to test the car airbag.
Ooh, so face first.
Yeah. He revolutionized the art of the stuntman from new devices, new techniques. He helped pioneer the 5-point seatbelt. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
He elevated the stuntman and the craft to become an important and critical element in contemporary American films. He had a NASCAR race team and was the first team owner to use telemetry technology. The Skull Bandit race team was one of the most popular NASCAR teams ever, second only to that of the King Richard Petty. He set Guinness World Records and financier of the Budweiser rocket car. Now, when I was growing up, this thing toured Central Illinois all the time. The Skull Bandit race team was one of the most popular NASCAR.
This is getting on X so I can talk over there.
But
didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. For those that don't know what the rocket car was, this was supposed to set the speed record for ground travel, and it never quite did that. But they pushed this thing all over the Midwest in the late 70s and early 80s, and now it's sitting in a museum. It's a beautiful car. It's a technological marvel, just not fast enough to do what it should have. Okay, so Hal Needham was a successful guy, but whatever happened with this movie here, there's a documentary out for it.
I still think that it had to do with money or something, because
$20 million.
That's a lot of money.
In 1982, $20 million. How much money was Return of the Jedi a year later? Because that movie was a financial success. I mean, yeah, it had a good toy line and all that, whereas this movie didn't have shit. But I'm curious about how much money Return of the Jedi cost. Either 32.5 to 42.7 million. So, okay, roughly double the price of MegaForce, but you can see where the money went. You can see in every aspect of that movie where the money went. Whereas MegaForce, I don't understand how did Mattel design the goddamn...
Who wrote the script? Let me ask you that.
Hold on. I'll get you that information. Because there's a bunch of people that were part of it.
Okay, because multiple times we've talked about scripts that were written by multiple people, and they were arguing through the whole movie about what this happens in here, what's going to happen over there, and they couldn't agree. So, and then what's really sad about that is that when the editors get the movie, they don't really know what to do, because it doesn't go together. There is no flow. Okay, it's all jumbly, so it's really hard. And the editor's the one that gets all the shit. They get all the crap. Oh, this movie, the editor sucked. Well, sometimes the editor doesn't really suck. They did a damn good job considering what shit they were given. I hate to say that too, because normally I do ride the ass of the editor many times on my reviews, because it's a fact. Okay, if the editing is shit, the music's crap, all that kind of stuff, it just ruins the whole movie if you don't have everything flow.
We had a lot of writers in it.
So if you have a lot of writers, now what happened to some of the things that we reviewed with a certain actor that has directed a few things, but as soon as they step in, and they want to make changes, what usually happens to the movie? It flops because they see something that they wanted to see in the movie, even though it wasn't really in the script and the director doesn't agree, but the actor has the more clout than the other. What happens? The movie flops because it's one-sided and it's their preferred way they want to see it, and it ends up ruining it. Okay. Because you can't have one actor have total control of all the other actors. They were hired to do a job, and no matter how good a job they did, if you only get to see the part the actor, the head actor or whatever, wants you to see, that's all you're going to see.
So there's a part in this movie where there's like they're filming against a black screen, and all you can see is the black shadows of Burgess Kambata, and Barry Bostwick.
Yeah.
Zara and Ace are there talking, and Ace does something, and I look up and I see what looks to be a penis on the black screen, and I'm like, and I just kind of looked at that for a second, and then the penis went away, and I'm like, I didn't see that. And I was just checking IMDb's trivia, and there's a part when they're filming with like shadows on a black screen, and Barry intentionally did that. He admitted it later in the 2000s that he did it just to get it fucking Hal Needham, because Hal Needham got him roped into some sort of pyramid scheme, some multi-level marketing bullshit, and he was not happy that he had not made any money yet. So that's what he did. Shit like that kind of happened all throughout the production of this film, where there's things that should be doing. You should have a priority list for what goes on camera, but that just goes right out the window because, like, I feel like this today, and fuck you. And that happened.
Well, honestly, when you're a director, okay, and you have a good AD, a person is your assistant, that wouldn't happen, because the director would immediately know about it and put a kibosh on it, right? Mm-hmm. But if the director really isn't directing, and second crew did it or whatever, see, usually second crew's in charge of the stand-ins and the doubles and things like that, right? To make sure that they have the edited, like, let's say you're going to have him walking across the street holding hands with the woman or whatever. You don't have to see their face. So it can be the doubles doing it. So second crew would film that. And then they give all the film to the editor, and the editor fills in the gaps, when they're putting the movie together. So you can take out so many seconds here or add seconds here. That's why they do all that. So the director doesn't have to be there for the second crew, because that usually it's not any of the dialogue. It's not anything that's really important. It's just like filler, but it's important if it's seamless. And if it's not seamless, it's going to seem cut up and jumbly. So it's important to have that extra stuff. Same thing with sound. Sound will come in and they'll start recording with nothing going on, just the sound of nothing. Okay. Because they might need the nothing sound to add somewhere else to make it even it out. It's just a lot of work put in there, and the director should be involved in all of it and know what's going on, what the soundtrack sounds like, what the dialogue is going to be, all those things. But to me, it just seemed like he didn't know what was going on because there was too many people trying to run the show. At least that's how it came across to me when I watched it. It was so hard to follow. It was utter chaos. I mean, I had a really hard time, and I laughed a lot because I didn't understand what the hell was going on. And I don't see how anybody could, honestly. And I could see why a kid would like it, because it was just a bunch of soldiers. They had super cool motorcycles. They would pop in wheelies, just shoot their weapons, which they couldn't shoot behind them, or even their tires could get shot out where they couldn't do anything because they didn't have any special nothing covering their tires and stuff like that. So it was very unbelievable when it came to any of that stuff. When it came to it's supposed to be a special force the best, the most, the elite of the government or whatever. It just was very hard to and far-fetched. I couldn't get into it because it was
Every part of this show is far-fetched. Like
yes.
there's other movies, other things we've watched that I thought were like bad or like silly or dumb.
Hmm.
And then I go back to Barry Bostwick talking about this movie and all the fucking feels he's got about it. Deeds, not words. And all the ways that he just loves this movie.
Yep.
And God, I mean, I'm an hour into the film, and I don't know if you guys saw it when we were watching it, but I kind of nudged the mouse to like, more fucking time we got on this shit. And I usually am not like that. Like usually I will just paint miniatures and just do shit and just like I'm in my own world. The movie sucks so bad. I'm just like in my own thing. Da 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 da. Da. Or maybe I take a nap and like it's Eddie and the Cruisers, and I wanted a nap that day and I just couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it! I hate that movie. This movie rates lower than Eddie and the Cruisers for me, and
That's shocking.
I hate. Like I really in Eddie the Cruisers doesn't get hate to Michael Pear because Michael Pear tried. He just read script and acted like discount Stallone. He's pretty okay at that role.
Yeah.
It's all the hate that I feel towards the fucking director writer that was like, oh, I'm gonna make another what was that? The Lords of Flatbush or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to do it felt like he wanted to do a sequel, a musical sequel to Lords of Flatbush. And I fucking hated that movie. But this goddamn movie here, this movie's cancer.
Yeah, it's
And
really
I don't usually even call anything like cancer or like this movie's Hitler. I disagree with it. But no, this movie, like you'd be better off go back to 1970s action television series and just go watch like the worst episodes of Dukes of Hazzard or Chips, or go into the 80s and get some like late season Knight Rider or any Street Hawk episode, and you're going to have so much more fun because the uniforms are right, the music's good, the hairstyles are all right. Everything about this movie, if I had a baby blue headband to wear,
God, that was bad.
and then afterwards, like just like wipe my culo with it and flush it down the toilet, and hope that it hits a pipe somewhere and clogs the toilet, just clogs a pipe somewhere, just to be a petty bastard, I would do that because I don't know if like this movie is good for like if you want to watch a shitty film, this is it. Here's your movie. This is a movie that you and your friends can sit down and you're like, what the fuck are we watching? And that will go for 93 or 99 minutes. This movie is all about the what the fuck are we watching moment. Janet, I don't know what happened here. I got 5 guys on the writer's credits. And between all 5 of them, I don't think there's anything here that's legible as a movie. Cackler wrote the story.
It says that he wrote the story, the top guy, Bob.
Bob Cackler.
So he had a story, which he probably went to one or two of the people that ended up producing it and told them about his idea of a movie. And if you just talk about it and you just have the summary of something, a synopsis basically, you can make it sound kick-ass. You see what I mean? And just like you saw in the trailer, some of the scenes with all those motorcycles going along in a single file, right? And stuff like that, it looks really cool. But if you're a real person, like, that's involved in training troops or anything like that, it's really in the military, you would see that and say, okay, and you see them do or stand up on the back wheel, do a pop a wheelie or whatever, and then shoot with it. Well, you're right. Like what we saw Siskel and Ebert talking about it, and he's saying, yeah, that's all great, but you can only shoot straight ahead, and you have to be going into the battle to fight. So what happens when they're behind you shooting? What happens when they shoot your tire out? Because there's nothing covering your tire. It doesn't make sense. But to a kid, it's kick ass, because
Yeah,
I'm gonna ride in and blow up all my friends on this cool ass motorcycle while I'm popping a wheelie. Because that's like I said, it looked like a bunch of little kids that play with
playing with their toys outside, man. We're gonna script it. Just script it. Just watch those kids and make a movie based on that.
Yeah, and that's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah.
Very, very.
I just wish that the kids had been playing with some stuff from like Mattel instead of just letting Mattel handle them fashion. Let Mattel handle the toys. And like it felt like they were playing with like Ertl, and between the kids and the script, there was like a Timu translation, and it just went completely worse. Yeah, BSG did flying motorcycles so much better.
Well, his really didn't fly. See, that's one of the things that was funny. When you saw in the one scene where they were going to show off to this bigwig in the military and show them what they had, to offer and how unique they were and all that. And it pulls up their Jeep vehicle type thing, Bronco thing, pulls up between two rocks, giant boulders where they can't even get out of the vehicle if it does crash into them or whatever. And it leaps over them and you see no ramp. So somehow they got magical motorcycles that can just leap in air, without a ramp and jump over them. And then as soon as he lands and gets off the motorcycle, they're already out of their vehicle and stuff with their jackets off and stuff, even though they were in between two giant boulders. I mean, it was just too hard to believe that any of it was real as a grown-up watching it, not a 8-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So it was just a mess. And nobody wanted to tell the other one, well, I don't like your scene, so I'm not going to use that, whatever. In the part that I'm doing, I'm just going to ignore that and act like it didn't happen. See, and that's why there's no continuity throughout the film, is because nobody wanted to double back and use the other person's dialogue or premise in the next part of the movie. And it's really bad.
It felt like I had Tourette's halfway through the film.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I was watching it and it seemed like it was trying to make sense. Like before G.I. Joe, we want to have a paramilitary force where it's possibly international and we have these really cool ideas. And then the bridging between Act 2 to 3, it felt like it was really just like, we got to speed this up because I got to get the motorcycles in the desert. I got to get this filmed. And it shoves you towards that moment, which I thought was kind of cool. Just as somebody who likes watching motorsports, that was cool. But
and battles,
yeah, and battles, explosions, and guys in rubber suits beating the fuck out of things. Like you will watch Split Second probably next year. I wanted to see more, but as they kept describing things, like they kept going back to the Ready Room, which had the Atari 2600 graphics, and this movie it kept sinking downward. It did not get better, and it never got better. It just kept going between first and second gear, and it, as much as like there's so much money in the writing team. One guy that was on the writing team, he did the screenplay for Godfather Part 2, and he did $1 Million Baby, and he did other stuff. That's Albert S. Rudy. He's really a good fucking writer. Hal Needham, not really a good writer, but he was integral to the craft of being a good stuntman. And instead we got this movie that it really just was not what you'd want to see.
I could see potential though. I could see how the story could be good and could be have a good heroic ending, and how it all played out, and how some of the special effects work would I don't know, make it better, that type of thing. But there was just so much bad that I don't see how they could fix it, and especially with no character arcs. It was like all the characters flatlined except the scenes between the two actors the colonel and his underling or whatever. I can't remember what her rank was because she hardly ever wore uniform stuff in it. But when they were together in the scene, it was almost like a real movie. So you could definitely tell their scenes were written by someone else. I mean, I hate to say that, but you could tell that is not part of the script. I don't know. It was horrible to see that happen to them because they were two good quality actors. But then you got to the scenes with Boxwick in it, and it was very totally opposite. Opposite of all the rest of the movie. So it was sad. And the scene where he's jumping and it looks like a flying helicopter, he's not really flying. He just jumped a giant ramp and was able to jump into the plane. Basically.
He triggered the rockets on the back of the bike, and I can't believe I said that.
But
and then afterwards on the trivia, they're talking about how within next year we'll have lasers on the battlefield, and this is 82. They stole the idea for Operation Desert Storm from this movie.
Yeah,
I got to show you this. This is probably here's where part of that $20 million went for the budget.
The world's in danger. Only you can save it. Skill, speed, there's a seal. It takes MegaForce. The enemy is everywhere. So take the cycle to the air. Rocket burn thunder. And when you do, you won't be the same. Cause of MegaForce.
MegaForce for your Atari VCS. One of the new games of the century from 20th Century Fox.
Okay, so the Atari 2600 had some games from the 20th Century Fox line that I'm very familiar with. One of them being
not me. I never played any of those things, but I can see why.
The Flash Gordon one was great, and this here, Perfect Sentiment. This looked like a bad Defender knockoff. You're blowing up little Arabian buildings at the bottom, and then you're blowing up things in the sky, and you're flying around on your motorcycle. That I can see where an 8-year-old kid would love this movie, love that game, and that's where the majority of that $20 billion budget went, was for a horrible game like that to be developed. Remember,
and I can see why if Mattel was behind the costumes and wanting to do the game and having toys and stuff with it, I can see why nobody wanted to have people getting blown up. Even though there were explosions and stuff, you didn't see a single person die. You didn't see anyone injured, no blood, no cuts, nothing. People had dirt on them. Like when the one guy kept getting off the motorcycle and lifted up his goggles and he had a ring around his eyes. Yeah. That was pretty much the only dirt and stuff you even saw, even though the whole thing was pretty much in the desert, right? Yep. So it wasn't realistic. It was not. It was totally like it was made for a kid's commercial, basically for toys.
I felt like watching this. Larry Hama was somehow twisted into forcing himself onto the script, which he's not in the script writing credits. But those of you that know, Larry Hama is a Vietnam vet that watched a lot of his buddies die. When he came back, he wrote comics. And one of the things that he did was the TV adaptation for G.I. Joe, and Hasbro, Sunbow, Marvel said, absolutely nobody that's got a named character dies. You might see things happen where like the Joes are in a cavern and there's unnamed Joes with them, and they'll get like taken or captured, but they'll never see them again. You can have that happen, but no violence or no horrible stuff happens. And G.I. Joe was like violent blue balls for
that was because if you have a kid that buys 4 different G.I. Joes and one of them dies, he's not going to play with it anymore. He's not going to buy a Jeep for it. He's not going to buy a motorcycle for it or any weapons or any other outfits for special forces or whatever. So you lose money. So you can't have any heroes die because people won't buy that stuff. And the kid will cry and burn his toys or whatever, trash stuff. He won't ask for it for Christmas because he's dead. I don't want him. He's dead. I don't want him. I want something else. I want a different toy. That thing. So they couldn't do that. But it was, I don't know. It was just really hard to watch it knowing that, there was no story. I mean, the more I kept waiting and waiting for something to happen and understand what's going on, I was like, nothing makes sense. Nothing goes together. Were they past lovers? Are they going to be lovers in the future? What's up with him being best friends with the guy that's on the bad guys team, and he doesn't even know, and he's special forces. There was just so many gaping holes where water was just flowing through.
The TV show and the cartoon and the comics were completely different. The comics had, like, Duke got killed in the comics, which was sad at the time, but it was great because it needed to happen.
Yeah.
But watching your favorite Transformers die in the movie, I remember.
Who didn't love Transformers when they were a kid?
Exactly. And the thing is that, like,
I loved Transformers.
That was like fucking traumatic, because you would read about, like, in the newspapers, the new Transformers movie has kids being ushered from the theater by their parents. And this is like multiple times across America on a daily basis, because the kids are watching their favorite toys get their eyes blown out or just totally smoked. Oh my God.
It's hard. I mean, to lose your pet, to lose your favorite teacher, or your grandmother that you spend a long time with. When you lose something that doesn't mean anything, you don't care. That's why we always want to see the hero win, because when the bad guy loses, that's what's supposed to happen. When you're playing with your toys, the bad guy loses. He doesn't win. Like when we saw Toy Story and Sid, the kid next door, got scared, okay, and the toys escaped from his room and all that stuff. We were happy. We're cheering it on. We wanted them to not be tortured anymore. We wanted Sid to be scared and not want to torture toys, even though we knew it was a movie, it's a cartoon. Even the grown-ups were cheering, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be good over evil, at least it used to be. But it seems like today it's getting harder and harder to see the heroes win anymore, because the hero's a bad guy. He's making people feel bad about themselves and stuff like that. It's just so lame where we've gotten that. But you know what? This movie made me laugh. I can tell you right now, I didn't fall asleep during watching it. No. I didn't get up and leave. And I had to go to the bathroom afterward. I was like, I got to go pee. I left at the end, but I laughed through the whole thing because that was ridiculously funny. It was so stupid, so corny. It made no sense. So if you just want to sit around and laugh, have a few drinks and laugh with your friends, this is a perfect movie to do that. But you can't expect it to be anything but that. That's all it is, because it's a totally ridiculous jumbled mess.
For those of you that don't understand what I'm about to show you, the bad guys are beaten, supposedly. And this is the finale of the film.
Yeah, there's nobody left.
Frank Silva.
Hi, Duke. Oh, listen, I just wanted to say goodbye and remind you that the good guys always win, even in the 80s. See you, Duke.
So bad.
That is crazy. That was an actual scene. Mm-hmm. This is an actual scene from a movie. And I couldn't believe I was watching that. Like, what am I watching? What the fuck am I watching? And this is like the worst version of like PG G.I. Joe.
And you can tell. I almost could tell at the beginning, because when I was asking about the costumes, because he had that zip up, like what dolls wear, basically, a onesie with a little strap around his waist with something. I don't know what kind of weapon he was supposed to have. But the thing is, and they're all riding motorcycles, okay? But the thing is, it looked like none of them had underwear on. None of the guys. They didn't have boxers. They didn't have little briefs. They had nothing. It looked like everyone was no underwear. And the reason they probably said that is because we can see the line through the outfit, and we don't want the kids to get upset when they go, I don't have lines under my outfit. You see what I mean? It
Yeah.
was like you could tell. I don't know how. I could just tell there was something wrong with the way the costumes were. It was later when someone told me, "Oh, Mattel made all the
Mattel
work,"
did
but I was like,
all of the
"You
costumes.
can tell because they are not used to making clothes for people. People wear underwear. People wear undergarments. Dolls don't." So I could tell right away. I was like, somebody messed up when they came to the wardrobe because except for the two actors, like I was telling you about, the ones who actually had wardrobe that took care of them. They had undergarments.
And I just need to talk to some of the guys here.
Oh.
Okay, first off, guys, in your 20s and your teens and your 30s, maybe 40s even, you might be long, veiny, and strong. But at a certain point, you do hit a wall, and all that just kind of doesn't start to stop happening. It just doesn't happen with the frequency you like. Mornings might be a little down, okay? But I'm going to tell you that after watching this movie, I feel so invigorated and so lengthy and girthy after watching this film and seeing that horrible, miserable outfit by poor Barry Bostwick. I thought I was like, I'm probably just average at whatever length I am. I don't know. I don't even know what length I am. I know I'm not what I used to be. When I used to not have a gut, I was fucking Mr. Snuffleupagus. But I feel like Mr. Snuffleupagus right now because after watching this film, like I feel sorry for Barry. I hope he got help. I hope he got a good doctor. I know he's an older guy now. I know he's like in his 70s, but dude, like the guy deserves kudos. He's got a wheelbarrow that he carries his balls in if he's going to wear that outfit for 90 minutes on screen. Like, I just couldn't believe that. That was crazy.
Well, also before you go to any past that, is the fact that you could tell because of the beard and the scarf on his head, which no one else wore in the movie. Not a single person. It wasn't part of his uniform. What's the deal with the blue scarf? So all of that, the G.I. Joe beard, because it was really short, and perfect. And it matched his hair like it was painted on almost. Because I kept saying, "What the hell's going on with this facial hair?" I don't know. I was just shocked by so much in this movie because I was like, when is it going to connect? When is it all? When's it love story or why they're there, their purpose for being there? They're going there to see this elite force, but they act like they know nothing about. I mean, it was all just ridiculous. All of it. It had no rhyme, reason, or anything to even have to be there for any purpose. Then you find out at the very end that if he tries to leave, that they're going to be killed. And if they try to go back into America, wherever they were, or over the border, they're going to be killed because nobody wants them. It's like it was dumb. I mean, the whole thing was just totally dumb, just stupid. It was like a bad porn with no sex. Everyone's left limp at the end. I'll just put it that way. It was so bad.
I'm
bad.
I'm not crushed by this movie, but I've got to say I was recommended something and this movie did not deliver what I thought it would. So I'm going to give it a score of a 30, which I think is better than G.I. Jane's 25, but not as good as Lords of Flatbush 2 at Cruisers.
Yeah.
This is if you like pyrotechnics, if you want to see motorcycles in slow motion, this is your film. There's no other way to put it. If you want a bad movie to put on TV to entertain your friends, like you do at Adepticon, go for it. This is it.
Well, I'm going to give it a little higher. I'm going to give it at least a 40, maybe a 45 out of 100. Because I did read that the military wouldn't help them. Nobody would send, lots of movies have had a person from the military who would come to advise them on the weapons to use, even maybe help them get weapons, you know, not weapons, but like tanks and things like that. And that was one thing that was blatantly obvious to me when I was watching this, was that when they walked up to a helicopter or a plane, you could tell it was just a prop, you know, that it was a non-flying vehicle. Like in lots of movies, you'll see all these cars lined up along the road and stuff, and a lot of times none of them run. They're just set there. They take a little thing and drop it down on the ground, then they put it back on the big truck that hauls them around. You know, because they don't drive. They have no motors, so they don't have to worry about changing the oil or anything. They're just props to make it look authentic for whatever era they're having in it. And the same thing happens when you need a big plane or a big helicopter or whatever, especially if it's older, like or it's expensive and you have a small budget. So you have a shell basically that they set there that you can get in and out of it and it looks real. But it's, for some reason, they just looked fake. They just all looked like props. And then when the people were walking through certain places, it looked like they weren't really touching the ground. You know, it was really bad, but it wasn't CGI because it was before CGI, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
before
so
CGI.
it looked like a drawing, like someone painted and did all this stuff, and they were walking in front of a painting, and then they'd walk through a slit in the wall. And it reminded me, and I told you guys this, when I saw Futurama years ago, and there was a scene from where they end up going into a game or something, and it's 2D, and you see them like walking sideways because they're flat. There's no 3D at all there, and they walk through the slits of the door and stuff like that. And that's what it looked like. There was so many scenes, and supposedly that was like newer technology to make it seamless from one scene to the next. I just thought it was horrible after every time they did it because it was so stupid.
This is a movie called Invasion USA.
Mhm.
And in this scene, they expend about $5 million worth of ordnance as the production. They're getting ready to renovate this area. And so they're just going to flatten everything. And before they flatten everything, they give it to Canon Films to let their pyro guys blow up a neighborhood, just fucking level the neighborhood. And $5 million worth of explosives and rockets and ammunition are used as a neighborhood is completely.
Well, that looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks like they're really blowing up people's homes because they got lights and stuff, props in them, and vehicles out front.
This is going globulous. Canon Films. This is one of the best movies that Chuck Norris ever did. It's an upcoming documentary for when we take back Little Mogadishu up in Minnesota. We're gonna do that, but we're gonna siege Little Mogadishu, take it over, get rid of the skinnies, and we're gonna have a nice American barbecue with lots of pork products afterwards, as we shoo them onto the boats of Lake Michigan and shove them out to Canada. You deal with these fuckers. They're welfare hogs. Anyway, but this is how you make a movie look great when you want to blow up shit. And this movie does it probably the best out of the Canon Film Group because they went to an actual neighborhood and they just fucking detonated the shit out of stuff. And then they let a few extras run around and panic. Ah! And this is how you do it. The movie we watched today, I feel kind of bad about, but I wanted to have Janet just go on a rant because I've gone on a rant for the past like 2 months every Sunday.
Well, I still tried to be nice because whether the writer did a good job or whether the director just was a shitty director is one thing, but to blame everyone else that worked really hard, which you could tell by the pyrotechnics and all the people driving the motorcycles, all that different stuff. That's a lot of people that were involved in making this movie. And it's sad for them, you know, that they got paid, at least, thank goodness. They all got paid to be there and do their job. But, you know, someone may not have gotten hired again after someone else saw this movie and thought, wow, you guys sucked. You know, I'm not going to hire you. Especially the people when it comes to the techno stuff. When like I said, when they're walking around and they look like they're walking through a slit in the wall. Because you've seen that. I know you've seen it on different things. Like MTV used to use it a lot. on music videos, but a music video is not a movie. You know what I mean? You expect more when you pay more money to go to a movie and see a movie than we got out of this one. Because this was, I'm thankful that I didn't go see it back then. Thank God I didn't, because I don't think I would have been happy. Even as a kid, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I don't think, because to me it was just too.
I wouldn't have liked this movie as a kid.
It was
I'm just going to say
too
that right
dumb.
now.
You know, and I loved Barbie and Ken, and I had GI Joes. I played with GI Joe. I played with, you know, my toys. I play with all my toys, and I still do, because I love them, and they make me feel good. I feel happy when I, you know, pull out my Wolverine dolls and just shit. You know, I just play with them because I just like it. You know, and other people I'm sure feel the same way. But when I pay money to go to a movie to see something like what we saw in the trailer, expecting something, and you're watching it going, when the hell is this going to happen? You know, you don't, nothing, there's no rhyme or reason to anything. It's just a jumbled mess, you know. And it was bad. It was just a really bad movie. So if I don't recommend anyone watch this, honestly, unless you're going to have like a bunch of people over that's going to be drinking, and you are having it in the background. A few people might want to watch, because it is corny and stupid, and it's got a lot of explosions in it and some motorcycles that are cool.
Do you like explosions, kids?
And if you want to see a bunch of grown men that aren't wearing underwear, wearing a bunch of zipped up suits, uniforms, and one of them wearing a blue thing tied on his head like Chuck Norris or somebody else, go for it, because it's up your alley. But besides that, no, I never recommend this.
Yeah, this movie was
Not even kids, because to me it's our kids today are way more savvy when it comes to movies and stuff, that they would look at it and go, why is it so crappy? You know, because it's just not good. It's not even advanced in any area. It looks like they did everything as cheaply as they possibly could when it came to putting the movie together. I don't even remember soundtrack now that I think about it, because the few things that I did hear, it sounded like they took it directly from like a TV series, an old one. My mother would watch,
like it was a sample track or some stock in the
bad.
back.
Yeah,
MGM will give you like a reel of tape, and if you play it, there's a music track on there. So go ahead and you can use that for the theme music. Mm-hmm. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like just some old discarded shit from a movie nobody remembered, and it
was like they went into the library of the production studio and just said, it sounds like you know, intro into so and so porn movie or whatever. And they just put it in, because it was just bad music. It was just bad. Everything was bad. It just was not good. There were little tiny bits here and there that were halfway decent, and the rest was just it just wasn't good. I didn't like it.
There was a toy series.
I think this is the lowest score I've ever given a movie.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right. I mean, G.I. Jane is still my
I gave it a pretty high score. I like G.I. Jane.
I despise that movie at a cellular level. Like I like the stars. Not a fan. There was a toy series. Remember back after the He-Man kind of ended and the She-Ra died like a year and a half after that. They started coming off with like these laser tag-esque toys. You remember that? Oh, hold on.
Is it my little He-Man ornament?
Giggity.
So, oh wow.
Janet is the lady of culture.
I love He-Man.
The VHS,
I love a lot of things.
There's more of a movie than the movies themselves. Yeah, that's the bad thing. You could go and from like 85 and then like 87 hit, and there was like these two toy series that came out, and one was Photon, which was not good. It was clunky, and it had a helmet with a sensor here that you're supposed to shoot at, and it had a sensor here you're supposed to shoot at. And then there was laser tag, which that came with a gun, a little sensor you wear on your shirt with straps. And laser tag was bigger and more of a brand than Photon. Photon,
Did you ever do laser tag yourself?
they have it here. We've got
Yeah,
laser
I love
tag
laser tag. It's fun.
at
I even
Winter.
love paintball, because paintball is even more fun because you actually get hit with bullets and
Yes,
stuff.
it's more fun to not get
Especially
hit.
when you
Yeah.
have the machine guns. It costs a lot more, but man, that's fun. I would do that in a heartbeat. I recommend doing that instead of watching this movie.
A DM4 that it would launch basically a pellet per round, probably a few hundred feet.
Mhm.
It was pretty accurate. I like that. Um, During the laser tag thing, they came out with another show that nobody remembers, but it was one of the best cartoons of all time called Brave Star. And if you can ever watch all of that, Brave Star is peak children's and young adult entertainment. And there's
Yeah.
actually like a lot of storylines in the Brave Star that an adult can watch, and it's fucking amazing. Like even some of the later stuff in that run, Brave Star still holds up. He-Man, not so much. Thunder the Barbarian, I like Thunder the Barbarian. It's not as good as I'd like it to be. Brave Star is still probably the top that I've seen for kids entertainment in 30, 40 years later. Semi-pro airsofter here with JP. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Mhm.
But Brave Star had these toys that they had light sensors, so like you could set them up at different parts of the room and try to shoot them, and like if they got hit, like the toy would eject a certain thing or it'd fall over. And they had play sets. The horses would have the same rigging on it, I believe, where you could do the light beams and all that. And laser tag was kind of cool because you could shoot something up to 5 times, and eventually it would shut that down. You essentially killed that person if you shot them 5 times. But
Mhm.
Brave Star was neat. And then there was a show that came out called Captain Power. And Captain Power was like an 87, 88. The girl that played the pilot on there, Jennifer Chase, she was eventually recruited for the movie Armageddon because of a shuttle pilot role that she had. Because of her role on Captain Power, she played a very good pilot on this show. And she also, spoiler alert, she dies at the end of season 1, and it's a kids program aimed at selling toys. Fucking Captain Power was the shit. And it fucking shocked me on a Sunday morning to watch Jennifer Chase get blasted repeatedly and then hit the self destruct and destroy the entire base for Captain Power. And like the at the end of it, yeah, it was Vinol Thorson, one of the greatest bit actors of all time, Schwarzenegger's friend. And he was also the insurance policy that they sent down in Mexico to make sure that Sonny Landham didn't harass or sexually violate the other actors on set for Predator. So Vinol Thorson was he's an old mean man. And
Mhm.
that's all I'm going to say. But he's one of the main actors for Captain Power. And him and 3 other dudes are standing around as like all their equipment lands. And they're like, well, she blew up the base and died, but we've got all of our stuff. Fuck. And that's how season 1 ends. And they never came back with the second season.
Well, can I ask something about that?
Go ahead.
Did it have toys and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Captain Power had some of the best.
Did you find out research to find out why they did that? Because remember, like in The Walking Dead, the leader's son gets killed off the show, and in the comic book he didn't die. Okay, he was still alive. When Glenn died, he died because he dies in the comic book, right? So I was really pissed off when they killed Carl off, and come to find out the reason they got rid of him is because they had disagreements on set. So instead of the continuity of following the comic book, they just said, F him, he's just a dumb kid, he wants to go to college, whatever, get rid of him. You know what I mean? So it does ruin things. And it can also hurt sales of whatever toys that were made for that character. So sometimes, producers that actually, just the ones that put money in, have way too much say when it comes to the continuity of the story, which I don't agree with. I mean, even if I was a producer, I would the reason I would put the money in would be good because I want them to follow the story and be true to the story. And that would be the reason why I would donate the money to put in to get it going. So if they kill off someone that's supposed to live simply because they got kicked in the shin or some stupid reason because of a producer, I would not be happy about it. And I would try to get the other producers to say, this is bullshit. It fix this mess, or I'm never investing in your company again.
So you had you had these action figures, which were kind of cool. They had like little glider jets and all that. The real star of these were the light sensor toys, which were basically the ships. And the ships, you would get a VHS tape with the ship. And there, if you look, there's like a little sensor where it sends and receives.
Yeah.
And you put VHS tape in, and it's like a video game because as you're playing through this 30-second episode, you're shooting and receiving information on if your ship gets hit or not, if you lose shields or whatever. When it reaches 0, your pilot gets ejected from the ship. It was really cool. And I saw my friend Jeremy have that happen a couple times, and I tried it, and I didn't have that happen to me.
Well, that's cool because in real life, and most kids who like planes and things like that know that there's an ejector seat in planes so that the pilot can eject.
You would be moving around like this or strafing around like 6 to 12 feet behind the TV, trying to make sure that you don't get shot by the turrets that are on screen as they're fucking like trying to peg you on there. And they have no idea where you're at. They're just blindly firing at a guy and standing in front of it. But that was the entire fucking shtick of Captain Power. The badass shit was the jets, was the fucking flight toys and the sensor technology. They did have a gun that same thing applied. Whenever you took too many hits, the gun would shut down. You've been killed. Sorry. But it was a real cool system. And
so did you research it to find out why they ended it? Did they lose funding? Did someone get in a fight?
Moms killed it.
Moms didn't like the fact that the kids.
Nope. They hated the fact that the kids were shooting stuff at each other. That's what killed the Black Star, or not the Black Star, the Brave Star line. And the moms did not want kids shooting at each other because they're a bunch of fucking Karens. And this is also after they've conquered Dungeons and Dragons, and they've made Dungeons and Dragons look like bad guys, even though Sally Jessy Raphael didn't understand a fucking thing about D&D.
Yeah, I remember loving Harry Potter and all the stuff with Harry Potter. And everyone would say stuff like, well, that only devil worshippers and stuff would be involved in that. And I'm like, why? Well, wizards worship the devil. And I said, who says? To me, and people still say that to me. When I was in a couple spaces talking about playing Dungeons and Dragons, they were saying, "What? So do you have like devil cards and stuff like that?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" Because they comment on things and make mean statements when they don't know anything about it. They know nothing about it. To me, it's healthier to play something like we play than play a actual video game. Yeah. Because me as a person and making a decision about what my character is going to do. It's not a pre-chosen destiny where you can only go to one direction, where your video game is pushing you somewhere and you have to kill that person or you don't get to the next step. I can make a decision to not kill anyone and sneak around and get out and not have to deal with anything if I don't want to. You don't have that in a video game. I think this kind of game that we play is 10 times better. And I would rather my children play something like that where they have to use their own mind. And the luck of the draw is through the dice that you roll of whether you're successful or not. It's way better a chance kind of game than playing a game where you have one destiny and that's to kill and blow up as many things as you can to get through to the next level. And I just...
I'm not disagreeing with you. I really...
That's how I've always felt it. But my mother didn't like it when I was a kid because she really didn't want me to play because she just assumed that it had to be bad if it's Dungeons and Dragons are in it. I don't know. because most people don't spend the time to investigate what it is before they automatically put a, because my mother hated that I liked vampires and then stuff like that. So, I can't help it. I was drawn to certain things because that's who I am. That's my personality. That doesn't mean it's bad or whatever. It just means that that's who I am. What? I can play a flute. Yeah, I didn't let that down. But guess what? You can't even watch that now. Since he deleted his channel, you can't even watch me that whole episode that happened.
We'll have to find Bear's like archive site and Bear
Does
bring
he
back.
have that saved somewhere?
I hope he does.
I went back to share it because I had shared a couple of those episodes, which I thought were so funny because everybody died because they wouldn't listen to me. I was like, well, I tried to tell them don't open that door, but I got back up the rope and got out and was standing up there waiting. And they said, "What are you gonna do?" I go, "Well, they're all dying, so I might as well just play my flute. Maybe they'll be able to fight their way out." But they didn't. But it had nothing to do with me because I did tell them. I read all the stuff on the walls. I said, "Don't open the door." But they chose not to listen to me, so I left. Fambat Volume 1. I'll have to check that out. If you're on, are you on X or Discord? I was going to say, send me a DM with the link and I'll go check out your comic book. Because I do love vampires. Morbius was one of my favorite comics. Absolutely loved Morbius.
Well, right now at my ancestral home, they are having, it's like negative 12 degrees.
Really? In Illinois?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I love winter, but I like snow.
No.
Okay. And I like soft, fluffy snow that you can use a sled on, right? And I like walking through it and wearing snow boots and all that kind of stuff. But ice, I don't like. Because that's all I get where I'm at now. I pretty much, if I get some nice snow for a few days, I can go out and have a big bowl of snow 5 times a day. I just think that's awesome. I just love snow. And
it's like 5 inches of snow yesterday in Latham and Peoria.
See, I hate to say it, but I can live with the cold if I have snow. If I only have ice, and it just makes it even colder to me. But
Tomorrow
I love
starts
snow.
to warm up. But
I'm a snow person.
I hate snow.
And I'll shovel snow too.
I'll take snow, but like I'd much rather not have to deal with it.
I like both. I like to ski and I like to snowboard. But I'm not very good at snowboarding. I've tried many, many times and I usually end up just, face plowing or whatever. But it's fun. But I like sledding. Sledding is so much fun. I absolutely love sledding. I love riding in the little sleigh that's pulled by a horse. I think that's so romantic, especially when you're wrapped in a blanket together, riding in it, and then you got some hot cocoa when you're done. Stuff like that. I just love it.
I drink hot cocoa all the fucking time because I just like hot cocoa. I also drink it.
Well, it's romantic. I love romance stuff. I love that. I like coffee too, but if I can't drink more than 1 cup or I can't sleep.
On my comic. We don't know why Bear deleted his channel. He just apparently wasn't making the money and like, clear the table.
Well, he's now pushing his Zeg Media.
Zeg Media stuff.
No, Zeg Media channel. That's the one he's pushing now. Because I thought he was monetizing everything over there, but
I was hoping he would. Things for me have changed a little bit. We have a show next week. It'll be God willing, but if not, sorry. Merry Christmas. My life has changed a little bit. This is the last stream I'm doing from this desk, and I want all of you to have a happy and Merry Christmas. I want you to have stability in your life. For you men out there, I want you to be able to have peace. For you ladies, I want you to be able to understand that men desire just a couple things in life. Peace is chief among them. But other than that, be well. If we get back together, when we get back together, the first movie we do will be Rain Man, because Janet likes Rain Man. and I liked it. It's not as good as Hot Shots Part 2, but it's okay.
I think it is.
It's
I think it's
okay.
a good movie.
Thank you very much, Filka. I want you guys to take care of yourselves. I'll be still doing panel streams and such here and there with others, but I've got to get some things redone. I've got to relocate, and I've got to get peace in my life, which I don't have right now. But you be well, each and every one of you. Thank you for being here for today. Yes, a peace is appreciated.
I'm gonna say bye to everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us. And as a total lover of everything comic books, cosplay, toys, uh, even for grown-ups, because you're never too old to have this kind of stuff. If it brings you joy, makes you happy to look at it, just to hold it once in a while, what's the harm in that? I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I've had people come to my house to put in the cable or work on something, and I have something in every room. I have autographed posters from Comic Cons. I've got tons of stuff, and they look and they go, one of my sisters looks and she just goes nuts because she says I'm too eclectic, and she doesn't like it. It makes her nervous or whatever. But guess what? I don't care. I still love it. I've got a mannequin over there in the back of my office with a Star Trek uniform on it, and above it is a picture I made with the diamond art of a giant ship in a quasar and everything. And then I have, posters. I have tons of stuff, but I love all of this stuff. I look at it and it makes me happy. It makes me feel good. I spend lots of time in this office, but I have stuff in every room in my house, a little of something somewhere. I have something in my kitchen. I have some, in every room. I can't help it. I enjoy it. And I think people should have things that you like. If it makes you happy, have it, what's it hurting? It's not hurting anything. As long as you can take care of yourself and you can pay your bills and things like that, it shouldn't matter whether you have 2 or 3 things around your house that you like to hold, whether it's a stuffed animal, fluffy slippers, a yucky old robe, whatever it is. Try to be happy. Try to make you happy for a change. Give yourself a hug by being good to yourself. That's all I wanted to say. I just want to make sure that people don't give themselves enough love, and you constantly giving to others, and you need something back. And if they're not going to give it to you, give it to yourself. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
That's all I wanted to say. But I say that a lot, but I sometimes don't say it in the same way that I said it today. So.
If you need something, get in touch with us. Just because I'm not making like Sunday videos doesn't mean I'm going to be gone. I believe I'll be running a game from a friend's house, Chris's house. So there will be still Saturdays going on here. But for the moment, we're going to suspend operations. Once it's going to be a little bit, but I'm going to get my own place. It's going to be fantastic. Space is going to be not at a premium. It's not going to be like this. But you guys, I thank you so much for being part of this, and we'll be back. Give us a little bit of time. Thank you, Janet, for being part of this show.
You're welcome. I love this. We've been doing it for a while. Seems like so many shows we've done, so many movies. Every time I go back and do the thank you videos where I take a snapshot from each show that we've done, I'm shocked at how many different costume ideas I've had to come up with, and how many movies we've actually talked about. It's just overwhelming how many. It's been wonderful. I've loved it, and I'm thankful that I got to meet you in the first place, and we got to start doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate you on a level that most people in the chat will understand, but few will recognize. And I hope that this friendship continues. I love doing this show with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It means a lot.
And thank you to the chat.
Thanks, guys, for being part of the stream, for being part of our journey. See you soon.
Bye-bye.